I'm going to die in a restaurant kitchen wearing a grease-stained apron that smells like marinara sauce and broken dreams. That's the only thought screaming through Maya Jackson's head as she watches three armed men execute her manager on the dining room floor of Lombardi's Italian restaurant. One shot, clean, professional. The kind of shot that says, "This isn't the first time." Tommy's body hits the checkered tile with a sound Maya will hear in her nightmares for the rest of her life, however long that turns out to be. His blood pools around the table legs, spreading slowly, methodically, like it has all the time in the world. Maya's hand closes around the neck of a wine bottle behind the bar. Chateau Margaux, $200, the most expensive weapon she's ever held. Her reflection stares back at her from the mirror, a black woman with box braids pulled into a practical ponytail, terror lighting up her dark eyes like emergency flares, and absolutely nowhere to run. The emergency exit is 20 feet away, might as well be 20 miles. 2 years of therapy, 2 years of breathing exercises and cognitive behavioral techniques, and learning to manage her PTSD after Chicago. 2 years of staying invisible, of convincing herself she'd never see this kind of violence again, that she'd left that world behind when she fled the Midwest for the California coast. All of it, completely, utterly worthless. The three men are speaking Italian, fast, clipped, the words sharp as broken glass. They're discussing the Korean, someone named Dante Kim, and money and something about a shipment that's late, territory disputes, payment schedules, the kind of conversation that ends with bodies in trunks and funerals with closed caskets. They haven't noticed Maya yet. She's good at being invisible. It's her superpower, her survival skill, the thing that's kept her breathing for 28 years in a world that eats women like her alive. The dining room is a disaster zone, overturned tables, shattered wine glasses. The couple who ordered the veal marsala, celebrating their 40th anniversary, they'd told Maya with matching smiles, are huddled under table 7, the wife's face buried in her husband's chest, his hands shaking as he tries to shield her with his 70-year-old body. Maya counts exits again, emergency door behind her, front entrance blocked by the 3 gunmen, kitchen door to her left, but that leads to a maze of prep stations and walk-in freezers with no other way out. She's trapped. The tall one, the leader, based on body language, turns slightly. His gun, still smoking, swings toward the elderly couple, and Maya hears her dead sister's voice, clear as crystal, the way she always does when fear threatens to swallow her whole. "You were always too scared to speak up, Maya. Too scared to use that brilliant brain. That's why I'm dead and you're not." Amara, dead at 23, caught in gang crossfire outside a coffee shop in Chicago, waiting for Maya, who was running late because she'd been too anxious to leave her apartment, too paralyzed by social anxiety to face the crowded streets. Her sister died waiting for her. Maya has lived with that for 2 years. She's done living with it. Fermatevi. Stop. The word comes out in perfect Italian, Roman accent, clear, commanding. The kind of Italian you learn from living in Rome for 6 months, from falling in love with the language and the culture and the way words can taste like wine on your tongue. All 3 men freeze like someone pressed pause on reality. Maya steps out from behind the bar, wine bottle gripped like a baseball bat, her voice steadier than her hands have any right to be. "Dante Kim non è qui, e non verrà stasera." Dante Kim isn't here, and he's not coming tonight. The tall one's eyes narrow, his face swiveling toward her like a security camera locking onto movement. "Chi diavolo sei? Who the hell are you?" "Nobody important," Maya says, still in Italian. "Just someone who speaks your language, and someone who knows you're about to die very, very badly." Because she heard something else in their conversation, something they don't realize she caught, buried in the rapid-fire discussion about territory and money. These men aren't who they claim to be. The second man, shorter, stockier, with a scar running through his left eyebrow, takes a step toward her. "Tu lavori per il coreano? You work for the Korean?" I work for minimum wage and tips that barely cover my rent, Maya snaps back, her Italian flowing like she was born in Naples instead of a South Side Chicago. But I know enough to recognize bad theater when I see it, and you three, you're terrible actors. The tall one's hand moves toward his weapon. Stai attenta, ragazza. Be careful, girl. Your accent is Sicilian, but not native Sicilian. Maya's brain is in overdrive now, the same pattern recognition that got her a full scholarship to study linguistics abroad before everything fell apart after Amara died. You learned Italian later in life, probably from someone in Palermo, maybe a teacher or a mentor, but you memorized phrases instead of absorbing the language organically. Your grammar is too formal, too textbook. Nobody from Sicily actually talks like that. You sound like a student giving a presentation, not a man having a conversation. She shouldn't be saying this. Every survival instinct screaming through her nervous system is telling her to shut up, to run, to grab that emergency exit and disappear into the February cold. But something has broken open inside her chest. Something that's been locked away for 2 years, sealed behind walls of therapy and medication and deliberate invisibility. She's done being small, and you keep calling Dante Il Coreano like it's an insult, Maya continues, her voice gaining strength with each word. The Korean, like his race is a weapon you can use against him, but you're terrified of him. I can see it in the way you stand, in the way your shoulders tense every time you say his name. You're shaking. You're scared. And scared men make mistakes. Chiudi quella bocca. Shut your mouth. You're not Santoro's men. The words hang in the air like a death sentence, like a grenade with the pin pulled, counting down to explosion. Silence crashes through the restaurant, broken only by the elderly woman's quiet sobbing and the distant sound of traffic outside. The tall one's face goes pale, actually pale, the color draining like someone opened a valve. His hand moves to his pocket. Not his gun, Maya notes, the other pocket, pulling out a phone. He speaks rapidly, his fake Sicilian accent slipping, revealing something else underneath. Eastern European, maybe. Russian? Maya can't quite place it. She catches fragments of the conversation. Verificare, spedizione, pagamento, Santoro. Verify, shipment, payment, Santoro. Her heart hammers against her ribs hard enough to crack bone. She's either the most brilliant person in this room or about to be the most dead. The seconds stretch like taffy, like time is moving through molasses. Then, the emergency exit explodes inward. Not metaphorically, actually explodes. The metal door, ripped off its hinges by some kind of controlled charge, crashing into the kitchen with a sound like the end of the world. 4 men enter with the precision of special forces operators, expensive suits that probably cost more than Maya's car, weapons drawn with the casual confidence of people who've killed before and will kill again, movements coordinated like they've rehearsed this dance 1,000 times. They're not Italian. They're Korean, or Korean-American. Maya's brain supplies automatically. High cheekbones, sharp features, eyes that have seen violence and made peace with it. The man in front is younger than Maya expected, maybe 35 maximum, sharp jawline that could cut glass, hair styled with the kind of expensive care that speaks to regular salon visits and products that cost more than her rent. His suit is charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, with a burgundy pocket square that matches his tie. He's beautiful in the way dangerous things are beautiful, like lightning or poisonous flowers or the edge of a very sharp knife. His eyes find Maya immediately, sweeping over her defensive stance, the wine bottle clutched in her white-knuckled grip, the blood spreading across Tommy's floor. Quanto hai sentito? How much did you hear? It's a test. He's speaking Italian to see if she was bluffing, if she's actually fluent, or just lucky enough to know a few phrases. Maya meets his gaze, forces her voice to stay level. Enough to know someone's trying to frame you for starting a war you didn't start. And these 3 idiots just confirmed it by calling their boss and revealing they don't actually work for Santoro. Something flickers across his face. Surprise, calculation, and something darker that Maya can't quite name. Appreciation, maybe, or hunger. This is Dante Kim, the man they were hunting, the Korean. He looks at the three men blocking the front entrance. His expression doesn't change, but somehow the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. "You have 10 seconds," Dante says in English, his voice like ice over steel, beautiful and terrifying. "Tell me who sent you or I start removing fingers. Then I move to teeth, then eyes. I have all night and a very creative imagination." "We don't," the tall one starts, his fake accent completely gone now. 7 seconds. "Listen, we were just hired to—" 4 seconds. The tall one breaks. Bolts for the front entrance, his survival instinct finally overriding whatever money he was promised. Dante doesn't even blink, doesn't raise his weapon, doesn't move a single muscle. His men handle it with brutal efficiency that makes Maya's stomach turn. One shot to the tall man's kneecap. Precise, calculated to disable without killing. The man goes down screaming. Another shot to the second man's shoulder, spinning him around and dropping him like a puppet with cut strings. The third man, the one with the scarred eyebrow, is smarter. He drops his weapon immediately, hands up, face white with terror. It's over in less than 10 seconds. Maya drops the wine bottle. It shatters on impact, adding to the broken glass already covering the floor like deadly glitter. Her hands are shaking now, adrenaline crash hitting her system like a freight train. Dante approaches her slowly, carefully, like she's a spooked animal that might bolt at any sudden movement. "What's your name?" "Maya." Her voice sounds distant, like it's coming from underwater. Shock, probably. Her clinical psychology training supplies the diagnosis automatically. "Maya Jackson. I'm just a waitress. I don't. You're not just anything." He studies her with unsettling intensity, those dark eyes cataloging details she doesn't want cataloged. "You speak Italian, native-level fluency, Roman accent with Tuscan influences. You identified a false flag operation in under 3 minutes based purely on linguistic analysis. You saved lives tonight. I need this job." The words come out automatically, nonsensically. "Dead customers don't tip. I have rent due next week and student loans and—" A muscle twitches in his jaw. Amusement, maybe, or annoyance. "You also just painted a target on yourself the size of a billboard. Whoever sent these men now knows you're smart, knows you figured out their plan in the time it takes most people to order coffee. They can't let that kind of intelligence walk around freely." Maya's stomach drops somewhere around her knees. "I'm nobody. I don't know anything about whatever this is. Gang stuff, territory stuff. I just serve pasta and smile at tourists." Not anymore. He pulls out his phone, types something with efficient one-handed precision. "My car is outside. You're coming with me." The hell I am. Maya backs toward the kitchen, toward the emergency exit that's now a pile of twisted metal. "I appreciate the whole murder-rescue thing, truly, but I don't do the damsel in distress routine. I'll call the cops, give a statement, and the cops won't protect you from what's coming." Dante's voice drops lower, more dangerous, like distant thunder promising storms. Whoever orchestrated this has resources, connections, and enough nerve to massacre a restaurant full of civilians to make a point. You think a police report and a statement to a detective who doesn't care will stop them? So your solution is kidnapping? My solution is keeping you alive long enough to figure out who's trying to start a war using my name as the match to light it. He nods to one of his men, a large Korean guy with a scar running down his neck. "Bring her. Touch me and I break your nose with my forehead," Maya snarls at the approaching guard, fear transforming into anger, the way it always does when she's cornered. "I grew up in Southside Chicago. I've survived gang violence, poverty, and the Chicago public school system. I'm not scared of you." "You should be," Dante says quietly. But there's something in his eyes, not quite respect, but close. Recognition, maybe. like he sees something in her that most people miss. But you're more scared of being invisible again. I can see it. You've spent years making yourself disappear, haven't you? Staying small, staying quiet, working night shifts and avoiding crowds and never, ever drawing attention to yourself. Invisible, safe, dead while still breathing. Maya's breath catches in her throat like a fish hook snagging flesh. How does he see that? How does this dangerous stranger see the thing she's barely admitted to her therapist after months of sessions? Tonight you spoke up, Dante continues, taking a step closer. Use that brilliant mind instead of hiding it. Engaged instead of disappearing. And it felt like breathing again, didn't it? Like coming up from underwater after being submerged for so long you forgot what air tasted like. Maya's hands have stopped shaking. She doesn't know when that happened. One night, she hears herself say. You get one night to explain why I'm in danger and what you want from me. Then I'm gone. I walk away and you let me walk. Dante extends his hand, long fingers, calluses on the knuckles that speak to violence in his past. One night. You have my word. She doesn't take his hand, but she follows him out into the cold February night, leaving behind the shattered glass and Tommy's body and the elderly couple still sobbing under table 7 and the only job she's managed to hold down in 6 months. The black SUV has tinted windows dark enough to be illegal and license plates she's certain are fake. Diplomatic plates, maybe, or just good forgeries. Maya climbs in anyway. Because despite every logical thought screaming at her to run, despite 2 years of therapy teaching her to recognize dangerous patterns, despite knowing with absolute certainty that getting in this car is a terrible idea. For the first time since Amara died, she feels alive. The engine purrs as they pull away from the curb. Maya catches one last glimpse of Lombardi's through the window. Police lights already approaching. Sirens wailing in the distance. She's leaving her invisible life behind. She just hopes she survives what comes next. The penthouse overlooks Lake Michigan from 50 stories up. Floor-to-ceiling windows reveal the city's glittering sprawl like a carpet of fallen stars. It's the kind of view that would cost $20,000 a month in rent, probably more. Maya stands in the center of the massive living room and counts exits. 7 security personnel visible. 3 exits, main elevator, service elevator, emergency stairs. Windows everywhere, but they're 50 stories up, so that's not really an option unless she suddenly develops the ability to fly. Old habits. Her father taught her this when she was young, before the cancer took him. Always know your exits, baby girl. Always know how to run. You need to eat. Dante sets a plate of japchae on the granite kitchen counter where Maya's perched like a nervous bird ready to take flight. Korean glass noodles with vegetables, still steaming, smelling like sesame oil and garlic and home cooking. When did you last have a real meal? This morning. A granola bar and black coffee, the breakfast of anxious champions. Maya stares at the food like it might bite her. You're trying to domesticate me with carbs. That's your strategy. I'm trying to keep you functional. He leans against the opposite counter, maintaining careful distance, giving her space. You're going to tell me everything you heard tonight. Every word those men said, every accent detail, anything that might identify who sent them. And then? Then I find them before they find you. Maya picks up the chopsticks. Her hands are finally steady again, the adrenaline crash mostly past. The noodles are perfect, sweet, savory, exactly the right texture. She hates that he's right about her needing food. The tall one, she says between bites, her brain clicking into analysis mode the way it always does when she's processing information. Had a Sicilian accent, but it wasn't native. He learned Italian later in life, probably from someone in Palermo. His vocabulary was too formal, grammatically correct but missing the colloquialisms that native speakers use. Like he memorized phrases from a textbook instead of growing up with the language. Dante pulls out his phone, typing notes with efficient, one-handed precision. What else? The second man kept touching his jacket pocket. Not his weapon, the other side. Something small, rectangular. He checked it 4 times while they were talking, and he had a nervous tic. His left eye twitched whenever the tall one gave orders. Resentment, maybe, or fear. They didn't trust each other. Internal conflict useful. Dante's still typing. Continue. Maya closes her eyes, replaying the memory like a film strip. They called you Il Coreano with contempt in their voices, but underneath the contempt was fear, real fear. Their body language was wrong, too tense, too aggressive, overcompensating. And when the tall one mentioned Santoro, he used Don as a title. But Santoro's actual people call him Il Vecchio, the old man. It's more familiar. Using Don is Calabrian tradition, not Sicilian. Different families, different customs. Dante stops typing, looks at her with an expression she can't quite read. You picked all that up from restaurant gossip and a 5-minute conversation? I pick up everything. It's my superpower. Maya sets down her chopsticks. When you're invisible, you learn to watch, to listen. People say things around servers they'd never say to someone they considered human. Racist things. Criminal things, intimate things, were furniture to them. Furniture with ears. You're not invisible anymore. Yeah, well, the jury's still out on whether that's a good thing or a death sentence. A man in his 40s enters the kitchen, moving with military precision that speaks to special forces training in his past. Buzz cut, scar tissue on his hands that suggests burns. Boss, we identified 2 of the shooters. Low-level muscle from Detroit, hired 3 days ago through encrypted payments, cryptocurrency, bounced through 5 different servers, professional setup. Detroit. Dante's jaw tightens, a muscle jumping near his ear. That's Marcus Chen's territory. You think Chen is trying to frame you? The man asks. Chen's too smart for something this sloppy. This reeks of amateur hour dressed up in professional clothing. Dante glances at Maya. Marcus Chen controls most of the Midwest distribution. Pharmaceuticals, mostly. If someone convinces the Italian families that I'm encroaching on their territory, and convinces Chen that I'm working with the Italians to push him out, you destroy each other, Maya finishes, her brain making the connections automatically. Classic divide and conquer, Sun Tzu, the art of war. Make your enemies fight each other while you wait in the shadows to take the spoils. Both men stare at her like she just spoke ancient Sumerian. What? I read. She slides off the counter. Also, I noticed something else. When the tall man called his boss, right before you showed up, he said something in what he probably thought was Sicilian dialect, but it wasn't. It was Neapolitan, different region entirely. He mixed them up. Someone who actually grew up in Sicily would never make that mistake. It would be like someone claiming to be from Texas, but using Boston slang. Dante's expression shifts, something between surprise and calculation, like he's recalibrating his assessment of her. You picked that up from a 10-second phone conversation in a life-or-death situation? I pick up everything, Maya repeats. It's what I do. Languages are patterns. Human behavior is patterns. I see patterns the way some people see colors. That's not normal. Yeah, I know. My therapist says it's a trauma response combined with natural aptitude. Hypervigilance turned into a useful skill. After Amara died, I started noticing everything because I was terrified of missing the signs of danger again. She wraps her arms around herself. Turns out trauma gives you superpowers. Terrible, exhausting superpowers that make you tired all the time. Dante dismisses the other man with a subtle nod. When they're alone again, he moves slightly closer, still maintaining distance, but less than before. Tell me about Amara, he says quietly. Why? Because you mentioned her in the restaurant. Because grief is written all over your face. Because I need to understand who you are if I'm going to keep you alive. Maya considers refusing. Considers building her walls back up, retreating into invisibility. But invisibility didn't work tonight. Visibility saved her. Amara was my younger sister, she says finally, 23 years old, studying to be a pediatrician. She had this laugh, this big, ridiculous laugh that made everyone around her laugh too. She was sunshine in human form, everything I wasn't. What happened? Gang shooting in Chicago, 2 groups fighting over territory. Amara was waiting for me outside a coffee shop. I was late because I was having a panic attack in my apartment, too anxious to leave. She waited, and while she waited, bullets started flying. Wrong place, wrong time. Caught in the crossfire. She died before the ambulance arrived. Maya's voice stays steady. She's told this story enough times in therapy that the words come out smooth, practiced, like lines from a play she's performed too many times. That's not your fault, Dante says. Knowing that doesn't help, doesn't make the nightmares stop, doesn't make me feel less guilty every time I wake up breathing, and she doesn't. Maya meets his eyes. I spent 2 years making myself disappear after that. Moved to LA, got a crappy apartment, took night shifts at restaurants where nobody knew me, avoided crowds, avoided life. Therapy helped, but I'm still, she gestures vaguely at herself, broken, malfunctioning. A person-shaped thing that goes through the motions but isn't really living. Broken things can still cut, Dante says quietly, still be dangerous, still be valuable. Sometimes the broken edges are the sharpest parts. Their eyes lock. The air between them charges with something electric, dangerous like touching a live wire. Maya's breath catches. A phone buzzes. Dante checks it, his expression darkening like storm clouds rolling in. We have a problem. The surveillance footage plays on the massive screen in Dante's office, a room with leather chairs and mahogany furniture and walls lined with books in at least 5 different languages. Maya watches herself at Lombardi's, speaking Italian, backing away from the gunman, the wine bottle in her hand. Then the angle changes. A different camera. This one from across the street shooting through the restaurant windows. Professional quality. Telephoto lens. Someone specifically recording her. Someone else was watching, Maya breathes, her stomach dropping. Someone was documenting the whole thing. Not just watching, recording, analyzing, cataloging your skills. Dante freezes the frame on a close-up of Maya's face. This footage was uploaded to a private server 40 minutes after the incident. Encrypted. Routed through 3 different countries. Whoever orchestrated tonight's attack knows exactly who you are now. Your face, your skills, your value. Value? Maya's voice comes out strangled. I'm a waitress who speaks languages. That's not valuable. You identified a false flag operation in 3 minutes based on linguistic analysis and behavioral observation. You spotted tells that my security team, trained professionals with years of experience, would have missed. You're not just valuable, Maya. You're a strategic asset, and whoever's playing this game just realized that. Maya sits down heavily in one of the leather chairs. Her legs suddenly feel like they're made of water. So, what do? We make you visible on my terms. Dante turns to face her, backlit by the city lights, his expression unreadable. Tomorrow night, there's a meeting. Territory bosses from across the Midwest, Italian families, Asian syndicates, everyone who matters. I'm going to bring you as my translator and strategic advisor. Make it crystal clear that you're under my protection. That's insane. Maya's voice rises despite herself. You want to paint an even bigger target on my back? Parade me in front of criminals and murderers and tell them I'm yours? That's your brilliant plan? The target's already there, Maya. It appeared the moment you opened your mouth in that restaurant. His voice is calm, rational, maddeningly reasonable. This way, everyone knows that shooting you means declaring war on me. And nobody wants that war. I protect what's mine. No exceptions. No mercy. I'm not yours. Not yet. The way he says it sends heat through her chest, down her spine, pooling low in her belly. Not a threat. A promise. But you're in my world now, Dante continues. Whether you like it or not, whether you chose it or not. You have 2 options. learn to survive it, or become another casualty, another name on a list of people who died because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maya thinks about Amara, about 2 years of hiding, of letting fear control her life, of making herself so small she could barely see herself in the mirror anymore, about how speaking Italian tonight felt like finally using her voice again after years of silence. "Teach me," she says, "not just how to survive, how to fight back." Dante's expression shifts, surprise, then something darker, hungrier, like a predator recognizing another predator. That's a dangerous request. I'm already in danger. Might as well be useful in danger instead of helpless. He studies her for a long moment, weighing, calculating. "Training starts tomorrow, 5 a.m. Don't be late." "I'm never late anymore," Maya says quietly. "Not after Amara." Day 1. The training room is in the penthouse basement, mats covering the floor, weights and equipment lining the walls. It smells like sweat and determination and violence. Jin, Dante's head of security, is waiting when Maya arrives at exactly 5 a.m. She's in her 40s, Korean, with a scar running from her right ear to her collarbone and eyes that have seen things that would break normal people. "You're small," Jin says, circling Maya like a predator sizing up prey. 5'4", maybe 120 pounds. Against most men, you're at a serious disadvantage. Weight, reach, strength. Biology is not your friend. "Gee, thanks for the pep talk." But small has advantages. Jin moves suddenly, fast as a striking snake, grabbing Maya's wrist. People underestimate small women. They assume you're weak, helpless, easy to break. Make them pay for that assumption with broken fingers and shattered kneecaps. She demonstrates a twist and pressure point combination that makes Maya yelp. "Your turn," Jin says. "Do it to me." Maya tries, fails, gets flipped onto her back hard enough to knock the wind out of her lungs. Again, Jin says. Day 3. Maya successfully redirects a guard twice her size, using his momentum against him, sending him crashing into the mat with a satisfying thud. "Better," Jin says. Again. Dante watches from the corner of the room. He's always there during training, a constant presence. Sometimes he corrects her stance, hands on her waist, voice low in her ear, sending electricity skittering across her skin. Sometimes he just watches with those unreadable dark eyes. Maya is hyper-aware of him, constantly. It's distracting and infuriating, and she wishes she could turn it off. She can't. Day 5. Maya moves through the defensive forms without thinking, her body remembering what her conscious mind can't process. Muscle memory built through repetition and pain and refusing to quit. When she takes down Jin's junior guard, a man named Michael who's at least 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, the room erupts in applause from the other security personnel who've gathered to watch. "You're good at this," Dante says after Michael helps Maya to her feet, grinning despite his bruised ego. "Natural survivor?" Maya corrects, breathing hard, sweat dripping down her spine. "In my world, that's the same thing. In my world, that's the same thing." His hand brushes her lower back, brief, almost casual, but it burns like a brand. Day 7 night falls on the 7th day of training. Maya's muscles ache in places she didn't know could ache. She's bruised, exhausted, pushed beyond limits she thought were absolute. She's never felt stronger. She finds Dante on the penthouse balcony, staring at the city lights. The wind is cold against her skin, sharp enough to hurt, but she needs it. Needs the reminder that she's still here, still breathing, still real. "My father wanted me to be a doctor," Dante says without looking at her. "Respectable, safe, make good money, have a nice house in the suburbs, marry a nice Korean girl from church, give him grandchildren who spoke Korean and knew where they came from. What happened? He died when I was 23. Heart attack. Fast. One day he was lecturing me about medical school. The next day he was gone." Dante's jaw tightens, and I realized I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to be what my community needed, someone who could protect them when nobody else would. The police didn't care. The police cared about wealthy white neighborhoods, Korean businesses getting robbed, Asian immigrants getting attacked. That was low priority. So I made myself into something that could fight back, built an organization, made sure our people had protection. He's quiet for a moment. Violence isn't noble, Maya. It's ugly and brutal, and it damages everyone it touches. But sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the only language that violent people understand. My therapist would disagree. Your therapist isn't keeping you alive right now. Maya moves to stand beside him at the railing, close enough that their shoulders almost touch. Is that what you're doing? Keeping me alive? Among other things. His hand comes up slowly, telegraphing the movement, giving her time to pull away if she wants. Fingers brush her cheek with unexpected gentleness. Calloused hands capable of terrible violence, touching her like she's made of spun glass. You're brilliant, Maya. The way your mind works, seeing patterns that other people miss, learning languages like you're collecting them, reading people like they're books written in your native tongue. Most of my organization doesn't have half your intelligence. You barely know me. I know enough. His thumb traces her lower lip, and her breath stops entirely, trapped in her lungs like a caged bird. I know you're terrified but refuse to run. I know you'd rather fight than hide. I know you make sarcastic jokes when you're scared because humor is your defense mechanism. I know you taste like coffee and defiance, and I've been thinking about kissing you for 3 days straight. That's inappropriate. Maya's voice comes out breathless. I'm basically your prisoner. You're not my prisoner. You're my guest. There's a difference. Guests can leave. Can you? It's not a threat. It's a genuine question. Maya realizes the truth with startling clarity. She doesn't want to leave. This penthouse, this dangerous world, this man who sees her, really sees her, all the broken pieces and sharp edges after years of being invisible. She kisses him. It's impulsive, reckless, probably the stupidest decision she's made in a life full of questionable choices. But his lips are soft despite everything hard about him, and when his hand tangles in her hair, pulling her closer, she feels alive in a way she hasn't since before Amara died. The kiss deepens, turns hungry. Dante lifts her onto the railing, his body between her legs, his hands mapping her curves like he's memorizing her geography for a test. Maya gasps against his mouth, her fingers digging into his shoulders, feeling the muscles bunch beneath his shirt. This is a terrible idea, she breathes against his lips. Absolutely reckless, he agrees, kissing down her neck, teeth grazing her pulse point. We should stop. We absolutely should. But he doesn't. Neither does she. The elevator dings behind them. Someone arriving. They break apart, both breathing hard, faces flushed, looking thoroughly disheveled. Jin emerges, her expression carefully neutral, despite definitely knowing exactly what she just interrupted. Boss, we have a situation. Marcus Chen is here. Says he needs to talk. Now. Says it's about the setup at Lombardi's. Dante straightens his shirt, his jaw tight with frustration and something else. Want. Maybe. Send him to the office. As they head inside, his hand finds Maya's lower back, a possessive, protective gesture that shouldn't make her stomach flip, but absolutely does. Marcus Chen is everything Maya expected, and nothing like it simultaneously. Young, maybe 30, maximum. Wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose like a graduate student. Button-down shirt and khakis instead of the expensive suit she'd anticipated. He looks like he should be teaching economics at a university, not running criminal distribution networks across the Midwest. He stands when they enter Dante's office, his eyes immediately finding Maya and staying there, analytical and assessing. This is her? He asks Dante. The waitress who speaks Italian? The one who identified the false flag operation? Maya Jackson, Dante says coolly, his hand still on her back. My associate. Your associate? Marcus's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I heard she's the reason Santoro's people didn't start a war last week. Impressive. Most people wouldn't have caught the accent discrepancies. Most people aren't her, Dante says. Marcus nods slowly. Then she should definitely know what I'm about to tell you. He pulls out his phone, pulling up screenshots. 3 days ago, someone approached me through encrypted channels, offered me $10 million to kill you. Cash, cryptocurrency, untraceable. Said you were planning to take over my territory. Had evidence of you meeting with East Coast families, negotiating distribution routes that would cut me out entirely. He swipes through the images. Professional surveillance photos of Dante at various locations. Timestamps, metadata. Everything looks legitimate, but Maya's brain is already cataloging inconsistencies. She leans forward, studying the photos with the intensity she used to reserve for linguistic analysis assignments in graduate school. These are fake, she says after 30 seconds. Both men stare at her. Look at the shadows in this one. Maya points. It claims this was taken at noon on February 8th, but the sun angle is wrong for Chicago in February. This shadow length would only happen in summer months when the sun is higher in the sky. And this one... She swipes to another image. This supposedly shows a meeting at Giovanni's restaurant, but Giovanni's was closed for renovations the entire week of February 3rd through 10th. I know because the kitchen staff at Lombardi's complained about having to work doubles to cover the displaced Giovanni's workers. Marcus leans in closer. You can tell all that from a photograph? From shadows and background details? I notice things, Maya says, warming to the analysis. It's what I do, and this man here... She points to a figure standing next to Dante in one of the photos. He's supposed to be Carmine Russo from New York, right? I recognize him from news coverage of that trial last year, but Russo has a Rolex with a very distinctive scratch on the face. Diagonal, cutting across the 3 and 4. I remember it because I noticed it in every photo during the trial. This watch is pristine. No scratch. This isn't Russo. It's someone who looks like him from a distance. Dante's hand tightens on her back, a gesture that could be possessive or protective or both. Someone is trying very, very hard to make us kill each other, Marcus says slowly, his analytical mind clearly running through scenarios. The question is why now? Dante adds. What changed in the last month that makes this timing critical? What's the catalyst? Maya's mind races, pulling together fragments from restaurant gossip, overhead conversations, the training sessions where guards talked freely around her like she was furniture. The port shipment, she says suddenly. Next week, right? The big one everyone's been preparing for? I heard your people talking about it during training. Dante nods. $50 million in pharmaceuticals from overseas. High-end stuff. Cancer medications. Rare disease treatments. Things that cost a fortune through legitimate channels. Split 3 ways between my organization, Marcus, and the Italian families. Everyone gets a cut. Everyone stays happy. Someone wants that shipment for themselves, Maya says, the pattern clicking into place like puzzle pieces. If you and Marcus go to war, if the Italians think you're both unstable and untrustworthy, they'll freeze you out, cancel the partnership, find someone more reliable to work with. And whoever's been orchestrating this whole setup just happens to be available, Marcus finishes. Brilliant, ruthless, absolutely fucking brilliant. We need to find them before the meeting tomorrow night, Dante says, his voice dropping into command mode. That's when the final port arrangements get confirmed. If they make their move, then, if they've already positioned themselves with the Italian families... An explosion rocks the building. The windows shatter inward, glass flying like shrapnel, like 1,000 knives thrown simultaneously. Dante pulls Maya down, his body covering hers as the world erupts in chaos and sound and destruction. Alarms scream. Smoke pours through the broken windows. Maya's ears ring from the blast, high-pitched and constant. "Everyone out!" Jin's voice cuts through the noise like a knife. Secondary evac route. Move, move, move. Dante hauls Maya to her feet. Blood runs down her temple from a cut she doesn't remember getting. Her ears ring, but she can still walk, still think. They're hurting us, she gasps, her brain cutting through panic with analysis. This is a tactical maneuver, forcing us toward a specific location. The parking garage, probably. Standard ambush point. Then we don't go to the garage, Dante says grimly. Marcus... Maya grabs his arm as he heads for the main exit. Your people came in vehicles, right? Where are they parked? Street level, south entrance. Why? Then we go down the service elevator, cut through the restaurant on the ground floor, and exit through their kitchen. Maya's eyes lock with Dante's. Just like Lombardi's. Just like I escaped before. There's always a back way. Always. Dante and Marcus exchange a look. Some kind of male communication Maya doesn't fully understand. Then Dante nods sharply. Jin, take the main group down as a distraction. Draw their attention. We go with Maya's route. They run. The service elevator reeks of garbage and industrial cleaning supplies. Maya's heart hammers as they descend, Jin and 3 other guards cramming into the small space with them. Dante has a gun in each hand now, his earlier gentleness completely replaced by cold, efficient violence. When we exit, he instructs, head straight for the restaurant entrance. Don't stop. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. Our goal is escape, not combat. The elevator doors open to chaos. The ground floor lobby is filled with smoke, thick and choking. People are screaming, running for exits in blind panic. But Maya sees them. 4 men in maintenance uniforms that look slightly too new, too clean. They're too alert, too focused. Their hands rest inside their jackets. Shooters at 3 o'clock, Maya whispers. Another 2 at 9. You can spot them that fast? Marcus looks both impressed and concerned. I told you. I notice things. Body language. Posture, the way they're scanning the room instead of fleeing. They're wolves pretending to be sheep. Dante kisses her forehead, quick, fierce, claiming. Stay behind me. No matter what happens, stay behind me. They move as a unit. Jin takes point, her weapon drawn but held low. Dante and Marcus flank Maya, boxing her in with their bodies. The restaurant is just ahead, its kitchen light visible through the service door like a beacon. Then the shooting starts. Maya drops to the floor, covering her head with her hands, her body reacting before her brain fully processes what's happening. Jin returns fire with controlled precision. 2 shots, 3 shots, never wasting ammunition. Dante pulls Maya behind a concrete pillar, his body shielding hers, his chest pressed against her back. We're pinned down, Marcus shouts from behind another pillar. Too many shooters, too many angles. Maya's mind races past the fear, past the adrenaline, into the cold, analytical place where patterns live. The lobby layout, the sight lines, the panic patterns of the fleeing civilians, the architectural features. The sprinkler system, she gasps, her voice barely audible over the gunfire. Dante, can you hit that fire alarm panel? The red one by the elevators? That's 20 feet away across completely open ground. Can you hit it? Yes or no? He meets her eyes. Sees something there. Certainty, maybe, or calculated risk, that makes him trust her despite the insanity of what she's asking. Yes. Then do it. On my count. Maya turns to Jin, who's reloading with practiced efficiency. When the sprinklers start, everyone looks up instinctively. It's hardwired human behavior. Sudden water from above. You look up to find the source. That gives us 3 seconds, maybe 4, of confusion. Use them. Jin grins, fierce and feral. I like her, boss. Can we keep her? Planning on it, Dante mutters. 3, Maya counts, her voice steady despite the terror singing through her veins. 2, 1. Now! Dante's shot is perfect. The fire alarm panel explodes in a shower of sparks. The alarm screeches, loud enough to hurt. Water pours from the ceiling sprinklers in a sudden deluge, soaking everything instantly. And just like Maya predicted, the shooters look up. Jin and the guards move like professional dancers, their movements coordinated through years of training. They cover the 20 feet to the restaurant door in a blur of motion and efficiency. Return fire drops 2 shooters instantly, clean shots, center mass. The others scramble for cover, blinded by water and chaos and surprise. They burst through the restaurant kitchen door. A chef screams, dropping a pan with a crash. Maya yells in Italian, "Via emergenza, uscita ora!" And the kitchen staff bolts for the exits like their clothes are on fire. "This way." Maya leads them to the back loading dock, the route she'd memorized during her first week at the restaurant, back when she was still trying to convince herself that being a waitress was enough, that invisibility was safety. They spill into the alley. Marcus's vehicles are waiting, 2 black SUVs, engines running, his people already laying down, suppressing fire. "Get in!" Marcus shouts. But Maya stops, turns back toward the building, her analytical brain catching something wrong, something off about the explosion pattern. "Wait," she says, "are you insane?" Dante grabs her arm, trying to pull her toward the vehicles. "We need to go. Look at the explosion pattern." Maya points to the building's damaged floors, ignoring the continued gunfire, ignoring everything except the pattern she's seeing. "Look at it. The blast was shaped, controlled. They destroyed the east wall but left the west side almost completely intact. That's not random, that's engineered." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying if I wanted to access a penthouse apartment during a forced evacuation, I'd blow an entry point and send a team in while everyone was busy running." Maya's eyes lock with Dante's. "They're in your apartment right now, stealing whatever intelligence you have stored there. Files, records, information about the port shipment, probably." Dante goes very still, his face draining of color. "Everything for tomorrow's meeting is in my safe. Account numbers, distribution routes, contact information for every player involved." "Not anymore," Marcus says grimly. "They have it. They have everything." "Not everything." Maya pulls out Dante's phone, which she'd instinctively grabbed from the kitchen counter when the explosion hit, her brain running on autopilot, grabbing valuables without conscious thought. "Your safe has an interior camera, right? Cloud backup for security footage?" Dante's eyes widen. "You brilliant, impossible, perfect woman." He takes the phone, pulling up the security app with shaking hands. The footage loads, grainy but clear enough. 2 men in tactical gear cracking Dante's safe. Their faces are visible for exactly 4 seconds before they pull on balaclavas. But 4 seconds is enough. "I know him," Marcus breathes, pointing to the shorter man with his finger. "That's Tony Greco. Used to work for my organization, handled logistics and route planning. I fired him 3 months ago for skimming profits. He disappeared after that. I thought he'd left the state." "And the other one," Dante says slowly, his voice tight with controlled rage, "is Derek Song, my former accountant. He had access to all my financial records, all my accounts, before I caught him embezzling. $50,000 over 6 months. I should have killed him. I was merciful. Let him leave with his life." Maya's mind puts it together like the equation solving itself. 2 men with personal grudges against both of you. 2 men with inside knowledge of both your operations, your security systems, your contacts, your business patterns. They know exactly how to forge evidence because they worked in your organizations. They know who to approach, what to say, how to manipulate the situation. She looks between Dante and Marcus, seeing understanding dawn on both their faces. "They're not working for a rival organization," she continues. "They are the organization now. They're planning to take the port shipment for themselves, use the war they've started as cover while they steal everything and disappear." "How much time do we have?" Marcus asks. "The meeting is in 6 hours." Dante pulls out a backup phone from inside his jacket. "We need proof. Real, undeniable proof. to show the Italian families what's actually happening before Greco and Song can make their final play. The camera footage isn't enough, Jin says, arriving beside them with the other guards. Too easy to claim it's doctored, fake. We need something more concrete. Maya thinks, her brain rifling through details, through memories. She remembers the tall man at Lombardi's, the one who spoke fake Italian, the one who kept checking his pocket during the entire confrontation. The tall man from Lombardi's, she says suddenly, the one I confronted. He had something in his pocket, something he kept checking compulsively, 4 times in 5 minutes, something small, rectangular. She turns to Dante. Did your people recover his personal effects after the shooting? They're in evidence lockup at my warehouse, standard procedure for any incident. Why? Because I think whatever he was carrying will lead us directly to Greco and Song. It's a thread. If we pull it, the whole thing unravels. Dante stares at her for a long moment. Then he smiles, sharp, dangerous, hungry. Get in the car. We're going to the warehouse. The warehouse smells like oil and concrete and old violence. Dante's people bring the plastic evidence bags, laying them carefully on a metal table under harsh, fluorescent lights. Maya goes through the tall man's possessions methodically, her hands steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through her system. Wallet, fake ID obviously forged, keys to a vehicle, phone, encrypted. But Dante's tech people are already working on cracking it, and a small leather notebook. There, Maya says, opening it carefully. The pages are covered in numbers, dates, amounts, account codes, payment ledger, every transaction dated and recorded, including, she points to an entry from 3 days ago, $10 million wired from an account in the Cayman Islands, same amount offered to Marcus. Keep going, Dante says, leaning over her shoulder, close enough that she can feel his warmth. Maya flips through more pages, her eyes scanning the information with practiced speed. And here's the distribution plan for the port shipment. Where to fence the pharmaceuticals, which buyers to approach, projected profits, timeline for liquidating assets. She looks up, meeting Dante's eyes. They were going to kill both of you, steal the shipment, and disappear with $100 million. New identities, new lives, complete escape. Were, Dante says quietly, his voice carrying dark promise, past tense, because they didn't account for you. His phone rings. He puts it on speaker without checking the caller ID. Mr. Kim, a voice Maya doesn't recognize, smooth, confident, with an edge of desperation underneath. I assume you survived tonight's unfortunate incident? Who is this? Someone willing to make you a deal. We have information about who really attacked you tonight. We can deliver them to you, for a reasonable price, of course. Dante's jaw tightens, muscles jumping near his ear. Tony Greco, still playing both sides until the very end. That's always been your weakness, wanting to keep options open instead of committing to a strategy. Silence on the line. Then, how did you... Your partner Derek kept checking his watch during the break-in, at the 30-minute mark, every single time. Security footage shows it clearly. 29 minutes he's focused. 30 minutes exactly he checks his watch. That's the tell he always had during negotiations when he worked for me. He wanted meetings to end on time. Compulsive punctuality. Dante's voice is ice, controlled fury. And you kept touching your left jacket pocket. Same nervous tick you had when working for Marcus. You'd check your phone compulsively, making sure messages were coming through. Some behaviors are hardwired, Tony. You can't fake your way out of your own psychology. More silence. Maya can hear breathing on the line, fast, shallow, panicked. You can't prove anything, Greco finally snarls. I have your partner's payment ledger. Every transaction, every date, every account number, meticulously recorded by your paranoid associate who didn't trust you enough to keep everything digital. I have surveillance footage of you in my safe, faces clearly visible, and I have something even better. Dante glances at Maya with something that might be pride. I have someone who speaks Italian, Korean, Spanish, and French fluently. Someone who can translate every single piece of evidence to every single boss in tomorrow's meeting. Every family will know exactly what you tried to do. Every organization will have your names, your faces, your crimes. You think I'm afraid of you? You should be. But you should be more afraid of what the Italian families do to men who try to frame them for starting wars they didn't start. Santoro, in particular, has creative methods for dealing with disrespect. He pauses. Or you can surrender. Right now. Face consequences. Maybe survive the next 24 hours. Your choice. You have 1 minute to decide. He hangs up. Marcus whistles low. That was either brilliant or just painted an even bigger target on all of us. No, Maya says quietly, understanding Dante's psychology now, seeing the pattern of his strategy. That was calculated. Greco is already paranoid. That's why he kept that ledger instead of trusting digital records, why he checked his pocket constantly. Now Dante just told him that every organization is about to know his face, his crimes, his exact location. He'll panic, make mistakes. Desperate people are predictable people. Or he'll come after us directly, Jin points out. Desperate people are also dangerous people. Let him try. Dante reaches for Maya's hand, threading his fingers through hers. We'll be ready. The meeting takes place in a private room at the Chicago Cultural Center. Neutral ground, historic building. Security protocols agreed upon in advance by all parties. Maya stands at Dante's right hand wearing a black suit that Jin selected with careful precision. Professional, understated, but clearly expensive. The message is clear. She's not a hostage or a possession. She's part of the organization. She matters. The room fills slowly. Leaders from 5 different organizations, Don Santoro and his lieutenants from the Italian families, older men in expensive suits, gold rings, the weight of tradition in their bearing. Marcus Chen's people, young, tech-savvy, more corporate than criminal. Dante's inner circle, Korean and Korean-American, military precision in their movements, Haitian contacts, South American representatives, every major player in the Midwest criminal landscape, and Maya, who a week ago was serving pasta and trying to be invisible. Chi è questa donna? Don Santoro asks in Italian, his eyes on Maya with assessment bordering on skepticism. Who is this woman? La mia traduttrice e analista, Dante responds in the same language, his Italian flawless. My translator and analyst. È lei che ha identificato l'operazione di false flag, ha salvato vite quella notte. She's the one who identified the false flag operation. She saved lives that night. Una donna? A woman? Santoro's tone isn't quite dismissive, but close. Una donna intelligente, Dante says, his tone brooking absolutely no argument. An intelligent woman. Con rispetto, Don Santoro, il genere non ha nulla a che fare con l'intelligenza. With respect, Don Santoro, gender has nothing to do with intelligence. Santoro's expression shifts, surprise, then something that might be approval. Continue. Maya steps forward, feels every eye in the room tracking her movement, forces her voice to stay steady, confident, clear. In perfect Italian, she explains the entire conspiracy, how Tony Greco and Derek Song manipulated communications using their insider knowledge, how they forged evidence using contacts and information from their previous positions, how they hired false crews to impersonate Santoro's people, how they offered Marcus money to kill Dante, while simultaneously framing Dante for encroaching on Marcus's territory. She switches seamlessly to Korean when addressing Dante's people, her pronunciation causing visible surprise. French for the Haitian contingent. Their representative actually smiles when she uses a Creole phrase. Spanish for the South American contacts, complete with Colombian inflections that she'd picked up from a line cook in Los Angeles. She presents the evidence, the payment ledger, The surveillance footage, the forged photographs with their telltale inconsistencies, the testimony of the surviving shooters who've been convinced to talk. By the time she finishes, every person in the room understands exactly what was done and by whom. Impressionante, Santoro says quietly. Impressive. Where did you find her, Kim? She found herself, Dante says. I just gave her a reason to be visible. Where are Greco and Song now? Marcus asks. Close, Dante says, and getting more desperate by the minute. As if on cue. And maybe it is. Maybe this is all orchestrated. The doors explode inward. Tony Greco stands in the doorway with 6 armed men, his face wild with desperation and rage and fear. His eyes are bloodshot. His hands shake. This is a man who knows he's already dead, but wants to take everyone else down with him. Nobody leaves this room until I get what I'm owed, he screams. The security teams react instantly, weapons drawn, bodies moving to shield their respective bosses. But Greco's people are already firing, already committed to violence as the only remaining option. Maya drops behind the reinforced table that's been positioned for exactly this scenario. Dante covers her body with his own, one arm shielding her while his other hand returns fire with cold precision. You had a choice, Dante shouts over the gunfire. You could have walked away. You ruined everything, Greco screams back, his voice cracking. That shipment was mine, my plan, my money, years of work. Maya's training kicks in past the fear, past the deafening sound of gunfire in an enclosed space. She sees the pattern that everyone else is missing because they're too focused on the immediate threat. Greco's men are positioned to cover the main entrance, standard breach formation, but they're not covering the service exit behind the stage, the entrance that staff use to bring in catering and equipment. It's a blind spot, a vulnerability. She grabs Dante's arm, pulling him close enough to shout in his ear. Jin, take 3 guards. Flank them through the kitchen corridor behind the stage. 30 seconds from my mark. Jin, crouched 5 feet away behind another pillar, nods sharply. She understands immediately. Dante looks at Maya with something between amazement and fear. You're sure? Trust me, I see the pattern. I trust you. He kisses her, quick, fierce, tasting like gunpowder and promise. Then turns to Jin. Do it. Jin moves, taking 3 guards with her, disappearing through a side door that most people don't even know exists. Maya counts in her head. 1, 2, 3, 4. The gunfire continues. One of Marcus's people goes down with a shoulder wound. One of Greco's men drops from a headshot. Violence and chaos and the sharp smell of cordite. 27, 28, 29, 30. Jin and her team burst through the service entrance behind the stage, catching Greco's people in a perfect crossfire. Caught between 2 firing lines with nowhere to go, Greco's men fold within seconds. Some dropping their weapons in surrender, others going down from precisely placed shots. Greco himself tries to run, his survival instinct finally overriding his rage. But Marcus's guards are faster, tackling him before he reaches the shattered entrance, zip-tying his hands with brutal efficiency. The room goes silent except for ringing ears and ragged breathing, and someone groaning from a leg wound. Dante helps Maya to her feet, his hands checking her for injuries with frantic precision. You're okay? You're not hit? I just orchestrated a tactical ambush inside the Chicago Cultural Center during a criminal meeting. Maya's voice shakes despite her best efforts. I think okay is a relative term at this point. He laughs. Actual, genuine laughter that transforms his face into something younger, lighter. Then kisses her in front of everyone assembled, every boss and lieutenant and representative. It's claiming, possessive, unmistakable in its meaning. When he pulls back, his voice carries across the room with absolute authority. Maya Jackson is under my protection. She's part of my organization now. Anyone who threatens her threatens me personally. Understood? The assembled bosses nod. Even Santoro looks impressed, his weathered face showing something like approval. Intelligente e coraggiosa, the old man says in Italian, intelligent and brave. Tienila stretta, Kim. Hold her tight, Kim. Non la lascerò mai andare, Dante murmurs, his eyes locked on Maya's face. I'll never let her go. 6 months later, Maya stands in what used to be Dante's office but is now theirs. Shared space, shared territory, shared power. She's reviewing shipping manifests in 3 languages, cross-referencing delivery schedules against customs documentation, catching discrepancies that would have cost the organization millions in lost product or legal exposure. The port operation has expanded significantly since she restructured the distribution networks, using her language skills and pattern recognition to identify inefficiencies and optimize routes. She's saved them money, made them more secure, become indispensable. She's not invisible anymore. She's dangerous, valuable, powerful, and she's never felt more like herself. Dante enters carrying 2 cups of coffee and a small jewelry box. Maya recognizes the look on his face. He's planning something, the way he always does when he wants to give her gifts she insists she doesn't need. We talked about this, she says without looking up from the manifests. I don't need expensive gifts. I'm happy with coffee and your company and the occasional day where nobody tries to kill me. It's not expensive. It's practical. He opens the box to reveal a ring, white gold, simple, elegant band, with a small hidden blade built into the setting. Press the stone a certain way and a wickedly sharp edge extends. For protection, just in case. Maya takes it, slides it onto her right hand. The weight feels right, comfortable. She tests the blade mechanism, smooth, efficient, potentially life-saving. 6 months ago, I was a waitress trying to disappear. Invisible, small, safe. And now? Now I'm head of intelligence for a criminal organization. I carry a hidden weapon in my jewelry. I can disable a man twice my size in under 10 seconds. My therapist is absolutely fascinated by my character development. You still see Dr. Morrison? Twice a month, religiously. Maya sets down the manifest, moving into Dante's arms with the ease of long familiarity. Turns out, embracing your darkness is psychologically healthier than hiding from it, as long as the darkness includes proper coffee, tactical training, and a support system. And me? Dante asks, his arms wrapping around her waist. And you, definitely you. She kisses him softly. I love you, completely, dangerously, in a way that probably concerns mental health professionals everywhere. I love you too, against all logic and reason and common sense. That's the best kind of love. From the doorway, Jin clears her throat dramatically. Boss, the new translator you hired? She just identified a Russian smuggling operation using legitimate plant import businesses as cover. Should I promote her to Maya's old position? My old position? Maya raises an eyebrow at Dante. Junior analyst, Dante says casually, like this isn't news. Your official title changed last week. You're now head of intelligence, salary increase included. I've been meaning to tell you. You changed my title without telling me? I figured you'd notice eventually. His smile is wicked, playful, the expression he wears when he knows he's being deliberately provocative. You do notice everything after all. Maya should be angry, should protest the high-handedness, the assumption, the way he made decisions about her career without consulting her. Instead, she laughs. Because in this dangerous, impossible world, she's finally found her place, found her people, found herself. She's visible, she's powerful, she's home. And when she kisses Dante again, when Jin makes exaggerated gagging sounds from the doorway, when the phone rings with the next crisis that needs solving, Maya has never been happier. If this story of survival, transformation, and finding love in the darkness kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have spoken up in that restaurant, knowing it might cost you your life? Or would you have stayed silent, stayed invisible, stayed safe? What would you sacrifice for a second chance at truly living? Subscribe and turn on those notifications, because the next story is always darker, always more dangerous, always more impossible to look away from. Until then, my fierce hearts and midnight dreamers, stay fierce, stay fearless, stay hungry for the life you actually want instead of the safe one you've settled for. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to stay invisible. Sometimes the broken edges are the sharpest parts. Sometimes the darkness is where you find your light.